What's up, nerds? Today we're taking a look at what I think are the top 10 most important weapons that you should have or be grinding for right now before Shadowkeep launches. I had seen some content creator friends of mine discussing this exact topic, and while some of their weapon choices I agree with, I thought with others maybe we could do a little better. Or maybe I should say some other weapons also deserve to be farmed for, maybe a little bit more so than others. Whatever, doesn't matter. Shadowkeep is on the horizon. My name is Fallout, and let's talk, you and me, about key weapons you should be getting right now to prepare for Shadowkeep in both PvE and PvP. Starting things off, the REDRIX'S broadsword. Now might be a good time to mention that all of the weapons I'm bringing up on today's list will be presented in no real order whatsoever. Each and every weapon is valuable in their own way. What does the REDRIX bring to the table? Well, right now, it's sort of nothing more than a fancy trophy weapon in PvP. Oh sure, when the planets align, it can do work, but it's not always a guarantee. Starting in October, however, the broadsword, as well as all other high impact frame pulse rifles, are getting a great damage buff. Damage is jumping up to 21 on a body shot and 33.6 on a headshot. I know, compared to the old numbers, the buff doesn't seem that strong, but it might be just the extra push that the broadsword needs. You see, right now, with 32 damage on a headshot bullet, 2 full bursts in the head add up to a total of 192 damage, not enough to 2-tap every Guardian on the field in PvP. Once Shadowkeep drops though, that 33.6 per bullet is gonna bring that 2-burst potential up to a chunky 201.6 damage, powerful enough to 2-tap literally any Guardian in the field with any level of resilience. Beautiful. Also, even if one of your bullets hits an enemy Guardian in the head, you can finish 3-tapping them in the body straight up. Of course, you can pretty much use any high impact frame pulse to get those numbers. The broadsword isn't unique in that regard. But only the broadsword can pump up its rate of fire to Florida meth head-like levels. I know, the pinnacle quest for the broadsword can potentially be a slog, but trust me, it'll definitely be worthwhile to work towards unlocking this gun while you can. Don't say I didn't warn you. Next up, we have the Polaris Lance Exotic Scout Rifle. As you might have heard, a lot of weapons are getting PvE damage buffs in Shadowkeep, and scout rifles are no exception. Also, since both pulse rifles and hand cannons are having their damage drop-off points retweaked a little bit, scout rifles are being left nerf-free in the range department, giving you a safe tool to carve up enemy baddies across the map without a care in the world. According to Bungie, scouts are going to get a damage buff of 18% at minimum and all the way up to a solid 36% depending on the combatant rank. That is awesome, and in the land of reliable PvE scout rifles, the Polaris Lance is a workhorse. Precision hits return ammo to the mag, and landing 4 headshots gives you a delayed solar explosive round. Unlocking the catalyst on Polaris also gives your gun the Dragonfly ability, adding even more to the destructive capabilities of this weapon. You know, just remember to unlock the catalyst before grinding for it.
How much progress do we have on this goddamn thing?
All in all, scout rifles are getting better, the Polaris Lance is hot, and you should have it because it is a tried and true damage dealer in PvE. Next on our list is the Whisper of the Worm. This weapon's viability has gone up and down over Destiny's lifespan, but with the latest sandbox changes coming to Shadowkeep this October, the Whisper's stock will surely be on the rise. Why is that, you wonder? Well, again, if you haven't heard, Bungie is nerfing the Titan Rally Barricade and the Warlock Lunafaction boots so that we will no longer get the ability to auto-reload our weapons. That is a huge change, and with that huge change, Whisper of the Worm is here to step back into the spotlight and claim its rightful title as one of the few weapons in this game that can reload itself with no problem. Sure, it doesn't create bullets out of thin air anymore like it used to, which is kind of a bummer. But again, in the land of weapons that can't auto-reload, the Whisper is king. Now, I won't claim it'll be the hands down best damage dealer to bosses in PvE, but hey, it's proven itself to be effective, it's easy to use, and it will help you dish out heavy damage to bosses at long range relatively safely and without the frustration of having your DPS phase interrupted by annoying things like having to reload. In that same vein, let's move on to our next gun on the list, which is actually fairly similar in nature to the Whisper, the Soul Survivor Sniper Rifle. If you don't already have one of these, now is the time, my friends. They are very easily farmable in the Reckoning, and if you've seen my Spare Rations Reckoning farm video, you know exactly what days you can get this gun and when the best modifiers, i.e. heavyweight, are available. The Soul Survivor is a solid PvE damage dealer. Why? It has the ability to drop with a very rare perk called Firing Line, which gives you more precision damage when standing near 2 or more allies. Now, when you're in a raid, DPS phases usually happen when you're near allies, so being near 2 allies really isn't going to be that hard at all with this weapon. The buff from Firing Line is a solid 25%, by the way, and guess what? That's not all. Legendary sniper rifles in Shadowkeep are getting an extra buff, 20% more damage to majors and bosses. That is crazy, and with the right roll, a good Soul Survivor is likely going to be on a higher level than some power weapons when dealing heavy DPS to majors or raid bosses. And on top of all of that, with Reckoning's new and improved loot drop rate, it's completely worth it to hop in and farm for this weapon. Speaking of weapons that can be farmed in the Reckoning, let's move on to our next weapon pick, the Last Man Standing shotgun. Now I know, before you say it, Bungie did confirm in their latest Shadowkeep patch notes that they are adjusting the perk 1-2 punch, which is absolutely the perk on the Last Man Standing that I am recommending you farm for. Why? Well, even with the impending nerf, a Last Man Standing shotgun with 1-2 punch might not be strong enough to kill Riven in 3 seconds anymore, but I am willing to bet money that it'll still be a damn strong perk in PvE. To get the most out of 1-2 punch, you'll need to combine it with exotic armor like the Liar's Handshake or anything else that pumps up your melee damage. Again, I know Bungie is tweaking 1-2 punch to the point where you can't beat the bejesus out of Riven by yourself, but yeah, it's still gonna hit really hard and be a good perk, and I think the Last Man Standing is still going to be worth the farm. Not to mention that with 1-2 punch, you can destroy enemy guardians in PvP out of their roaming supers. Sure, roaming supers are getting adjusted in October, but we don't know yet if a normal shotgun melee from other shotties are going to be strong enough to do the trick. I say the Last Man Standing is still worth it. Come at me. While we're on the subject of hard-hitting PvP shotguns, let's talk about the next gun on my list, the Dustrock Blues. If you plan on playing any PvP in Shadowkeep and you don't have a Dustrock Blues by this point, oh baby, what is you doing? There's always a lot of talk in the PvP community as to which shotgun in the meta is the best, and that debate is to be expected. But you know what almost no one argues about? That the Dustrock 100% belongs in the top tier category of shotguns, hands down. A well-rolled Dustrock can one-shot enemies from damn far away in PvP even after all this time. Since Bungie apparently has no plans to nerf shotguns in the near future that we know about, at least they didn't make any mention of doing so in their recent sandbox notes. So with that in mind, it looks like the Dustrock is going to be a sick PvP weapon for at least another season. You want to know what the best part is? The Dustrock is wildly easy to farm for. Just hop into the Menagerie, which by the way is going to drop more and more loot upon completion the closer we get to Shadowkeep. You can even pick the exact masterwork you want with the right rune combination. There's really no excuse at this point. It's an awesome PvP weapon, it's not getting touched in the meta, and it's easy to farm for. Enough said. And as long as you're looking for great PvP weapons to use in October, you know what else you're gonna need? A dank hand cannon. The Spare Rations is probably on the short list of awesome hand cannons that you can use in PvP right now. Sporting a great time to kill, awesome roll options, and a somewhat reliable farm method, it's not really a surprise why a lot of Guardians are trying to grind out for a Spare Rations right now. Again, check my Spare Rations farm video for what days to go for this bad boy, why, but yeah, it's a damn good option, even with the ricochet rounds nerf. Although, some people might find these spare rations more user-friendly if you play on PC with a mouse and keyboard. So, to keep things fair, let's come up with a dank hand cannon for all the controller folk out there to get their hands on. And wouldn't you know it, I've got one for you. It's short, it's sharp, it's red all over, it's the Crimson. Yeah, I know. Fallout, you're putting 2 weapons into one category. That's more than 10 guns, brother. Yeah, whatever. My vid, my rules. And also, top 11 weapons isn't nearly as catchy as top 10. Sue me. Anyway, the Crimson right now, it's really not that special outside of its unique perk, which gives you health regen on a kill and refills the mag on a headshot kill. But Bungie has confirmed that this thing is getting a major, and I mean major, damage buff come October. Crimson is going from 13.76 in the body and 24.75 in the head to 19 in the body and 30.5 in the head. That is a thick damage increase, and it's hard to not be worried a little bit about how strong the Crimson is going to become in PvP. With its new damage numbers, it'll just need 1 headshot burst plus 2 bodies to put enemies down in PvP. And it may not have the fastest time to kill on paper, but its ease of use is going to be through the roof, not to mention, again, the ability to heal the wielder on a kill. If you have this gun, you better start practicing with it right now. It may take the meta by storm in just a few weeks. Alright, we got 3 weapons left on the list, and we are heading back into PvE territory. Between now and October, you are going to need a good 150 RPM grenade launcher with spike grenades. Fallout, why don't you just give us a specific gun name? Fine, I'll give you the ones you're most likely to get. The Outrageous Fortune, which you can get from Zavala at the tower for doing Vanguard things, and the Swarm of the Raven, which you can also get from Iron Banner. If I'm not posting this video later than I'm planning to, and you're watching it on the day it goes live, there should still be time left on the clock for you to play Iron Banner right now and have a shot at getting the Raven. Why do you want either of these guns? Okay, well, grenade launchers are currently the kings of DPS on bosses in D2. 150 RPMs are the fastest firing launchers, and getting spike grenades to drop on one will let you do more damage on a direct hit, which is great. Now, the Swarm of the Raven used to be the undisputed champion, because when it paired with the tractor cannon, it did even more damage to bosses due to it being a void grenade launcher. In Shadowkeep, the tractor cannon is getting reworked. Soon it won't matter if your weapon is arc, void, or solar, tractor cannon will give the exact same damage buff across the board. If you don't already have a 150 RPM grenade launcher with spike grenades, might I also recommend the Wendigo. The only reason I didn't mention this one right out of the gate is because a lot of people, myself included, find the Wendigo fairly annoying to farm for. That being said, with the tractor cannon nerf, the Wendigo might actually be the better choice over the Swarm of the Raven or the Outrageous Fortune come this October. You know, we really don't need to split hairs too much. All we know is that right now, according to DMG from Bungie himself, grenade launchers are not getting nerfed yet in Shadowkeep, meaning that they will still be certified grade A damage dealers in PvE. If you don't have a good one right now, get one. Make it a tremendously high priority. The Outrageous Fortune or the Swarm of the Raven with spike grenades, or if you have the time to go through the pinnacle weapon quest, the Wendigo. Get to it. Alright, I'm just gonna come out and say it. This next weapon might be a strange pick. The Outbreak Perfected. I know. I just told you about a minute ago that grenade launchers are the king of PvE DPS. They are, but there's just something about the reliability of the Outbreak Perfected. Up to this point, the Mountaintop has been sitting pretty comfortably on the throne of awesome primary weapons to use in PvE. Now that we'll no longer be able to auto-reload our weapons with the Rally Barricade and Lunafaction boot nerf, the Mountaintop grenade launcher is indirectly getting kicked in the crotch. The thought of having to actually manually reload my Mountaintop grenade launcher kinda makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit and enter the Outbreak Perfected. Yes, grenade launchers, sniper rifles, and shotguns are all heavy hitters, and probably much more so than the Outbreak. But you know what the Outbreak brings to the table that the other damage dealers can't touch? Say it with me. primary ammo. You can still use grenade launchers and snipers and whatever you want in PvE to rip up bad guys, but the Outbreak Perfected does so without burning through precious ammo, meaning you can use it alongside all your other awesome damage-dealing weapons. It might not be the best weapon around, but like I've said, with plenty other weapons on this list, it is reliable, especially when paired with other teammates also using the Outbreak. We have no idea what the future raids in Destiny will throw at us, but it's a safe bet that fire teams wielding the Outbreak, maybe not as their primary damage dealers, but as their backups, will be fairly well prepared. More Outbreaks equals more reliable damage to all types of baddies, even majors and bosses. Also, because it's an exotic weapon, we know exactly how to acquire the gun. There's really no RNG involved. None of that, oh man, I hope I get a really good roll on this gun. Oh crap, I didn't. I guess I gotta go do the reckoning again. Nope. One gun, one roll, still reliable. If you don't have it, it definitely will not hurt to pick it up before Shadowkeep. And finally, we come to the last weapon on my list, the RECLUSE SMG. Yes, shocker, one of the best weapons in the history of Destiny 2 is at the very end of my must-have weapons list going into the new year of content. If you don't have the RECLUSE, let me tell you, you are missing out. This gun steamrolls in PvE, and if you're on PC playing with mouse and keyboard, it steamrolls in PvP too. The RECLUSE is a PvE ad farming machine. Mow down waves of enemies, a unique perk that is super easy to activate. What more could you want? Now granted, I know that ricochet rounds is getting nerfed and that's going to affect the RECLUSE. Trust me, it's not going to get hit that hard. The weapon primarily succeeds at mid to close range, especially if you play with a controller. Out of all the patch notes and sandbox changes listed by Bungie about Shadowkeep, it is pretty much all but confirmed at this point that aside from the change to ricochet rounds, the RECLUSE is not being touched. In fact, SMGs are getting a damage buff in PvE by 22.5% against both minor and major enemies. If anything, that means that the RECLUSE is going to be more valuable in PvE in October, and you need this gun yesterday. I know, it's a PvP pinnacle weapon, and that might be a pain in the butt for some of you out there. Follow me on twitch.tv/falloutplays for comp carries on the weekends, but I'm telling you though, you need this weapon in your life. Call up any and all friends of yours who play PvP, form a group, bite the bullet and go to an LFG website, solo queue if it's your last resort. Anything to get this weapon included in your arsenal for Shadowkeep, believe me, you will not regret it. And that's all she wrote, boys and girls. 10 weapons, well, slightly more than 10 weapons, that you should either have right now or be trying to grab between now and Shadowkeep. I hope all of these made sense in one way or another. I'm sure some of you out there are more interested in PvP than PvE, and vice versa. If there are any other weapons out there that you think are really amazing that I left off my list, do me a favor and share them along with your reasoning down below in the comment section. Let your fellow community brethren know what guns are awesome and why. If you enjoyed today's content, do me a favor, let me know by clicking the like button. Doing things like that helps me figure out what type of content to make moving forward. And of course, if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button and become a part of our great community. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.